push it away, but it's pulling me in. Trying to pretend I'm not a.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Scream 6. This movie is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, aka Radio Silence, as well as they are responsible for the last Scream movie, Scream 5, aka Scream 2022, or however you want to call that, one of the segments from the VHS anthology, and Ready or Not. In this sixth installment, we do follow the survivors of the Ghostface killings as they leave Woodsboro behind and begin a fresh new chapter in New York City. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that this is a spoiler-free review. I know that the embargo is up and everything, but I know a lot of people have not seen this movie just yet. It hasn't even been 7 days. So, for anybody who is willing to check out a review, not getting any spoilers, you're in safe hands. For those of you who are looking to talk about spoilers, I mean, there's a whole lot of videos that came out on Monday. This was absolutely, hands down, far better than the last one. And I really like the fifth one. I mean, you can go ahead and check out my review from last year, but yeah, I said it. Not since the Hollywood scene in part 3 have we gotten to take Ghostface out of Woodsboro. 6 movies in, and we finally get to bring our iconic slasher to the Big Apple, where threats could be around any corner. Poking fun at the embarrassing Friday the 13th Part 8 Jason Takes Manhattan, you can tell that the studio has definitely stretched their budget in order to utilize the New York setting. You know, instead of paying the rightful salary to Neve Campbell, the fact that it took place within the 3-day weekend of the Halloween season made things interesting for Ghostface to prey and attack amongst the public eye. Raising the stakes as a sequel to the requel, the iconic opening sequence was approached refreshingly different. The action is much more intense. The suspense was much more drawn out with more chase scenes. The violence was much more brutal and gorier. And our key survivors from the last movie, our core 4, if you will, have definitely earned their merits to carry on this franchise. Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, and Jenna Ortega reprised their roles as Sam, Mindy, Chad, and Tara, attempting to move on from last year's events in Woodsboro. Their trauma has definitely bonded them, has strengthened their chemistry. Sam and Tara's sister dynamic is very complicated and rocky, but still the heart of the film. Sam is just very protective of her sister. She followed her to New York, and she's just afraid to lose control to her own psyche. Tara, on the other hand, she doesn't want the events from Woodsboro to define her life. She wants to go to college and be normal and earn a degree. And because this movie is darker in tone compared to the last one, we got Mindy, who's breaking down the rules of how to survive a horror movie, making small references to her uncle, and just pointing out about who might be the suspect this time around with no filter. And then we got her brother Chad, who just is somehow become the fan favorite of this new franchise. And he balances out all the serious tones with a lot of levity and charm. It almost reminded me of Dewey. I was very excited for Hayden Panettiere's return to the character of Kirby Reed, who was left for dead in part 4. There's even a fan service moment where Mindy and Kirby's love for horror movies finally come face to face. Now, I wish she had a more integral role in the plot, but I'm actually thankful that the writers didn't just shoehorn her in for a little cameo. Courtney Cox's reprisal to the Gale Weathers character, on the other hand, made me realize that if Neve Campbell did return as Sidney Prescott to this particular installment, it would have felt overbloated. It was just so unnecessary. I felt like in the last movie, they kind of passed on the torch. And in here, other than the fact that Gale had that one cool scene that's actually seen in the trailer, they could have taken her completely out of the script and it wouldn't have affected the plot in any way, shape, or form. The Ghostface shrine that everyone couldn't stop talking about when the trailer first dropped was absolutely fantastic. It was wonderfully presented as a key set piece, and everything in that room just stirred a lot of emotions for our main characters. And in a way, the importance of all 5 films just felt cathartic in a visual sense in that moment. So getting into some of the negatives here, and when I mean negatives, I mean nitpicks, because regardless of all the flaws in this movie, I enjoyed every minute of this. So, like Scream 2 and 3, I felt like the new supporting cast members didn't have too much to work with this time around, other than to shuffle around the prime suspect list or become another number in the body count. Second, I missed the subtlety and visual cues that Kevin Williamson had in his script when it came to toying with the audience of who Ghostface might be. In the fifth one, and what I noticed heavy handedly here, was how everyone would outright accuse one another for being the killer when they weren't with the group while Ghostface was attacking them. It kind of felt a little bit silly, and I get it. That might add to the comedy, but this isn't Clue the movie. Third, it's not enough that Ghostface is geared up with a bulletproof vest, but apparently everyone else has plot armor. Some of our main characters are getting stabbed, slashed, or fucking shot at, and they're up and walking around, running like athletes in the next shot. Some of them are trying to hold their organs in from their wound that's all cut open, and they're like, don't worry, I'm alright. No, you're not. I just don't want these frigid decisions to keep characters alive to become the next Fast and Furious franchise. Last but not least, I thought the reveal of Ghostface's identity was rather weak. They were doing a good job in the first act keeping me guessing, but there were specific coincidences that kept happening that kept me pointing in the same direction, and I stuck with those same suspicions up until the mask came off. Now, I did not like the motive they decided to lean into. I thought the writers wanted to subvert our expectations, but they were doing a really good job up until the ending, and it just felt way too familiar. No spoilers, I promise. Overall, Scream is a franchise that is here to stay. It's capable of breaking the formulaic mold. As much as Neve Campbell means to the story, I'm glad that the new batch of new blood was able to challenge their acting chops this time around, their strengths, their weaknesses, all on their own. You can tell that this cast and crew worked very hard and had a lot of fun with what Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson started back in '96. This is a blockbuster worth seeing on the big screen with a huge crowd, and I cannot wait for part 7. Alright guys, that's all I got to share about Scream 6. Go ahead and check it out. Please do not ruin this movie for anyone else. I'm Jaren Ugbanawag. Look forward to more reviews. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys at the movies. Take care.